Hi there, if you're watching this video, then you probably know what Loopy Pro is. If not, I'll leave the link to another video in the description, so I won't spend much time here. So, you've decided to upgrade your sound setup for live looping with an audio interface. Maybe you already own one, or you're trying to figure out what to look for before buying. Either way, let's dive in. First, your audio interface must be class compliant. This means it doesn't need any special drivers to work, so it's compatible with iPads and iPhones. Most modern interfaces are class compliant, but there are some unexpected exceptions. For example, Universal Audio Apollo interfaces are not class compliant, but their World Series is. The Steinberg UR22MK2 is iOS compatible, but their older MK1 is not. Just double check compatibility on the manufacturer's website. The official Loopy Pro website also has a list of compatible interfaces, though it's not complete. Personally, I've used Zoom UAC2 and now I'm using Arturia MiniFuse 4 and I can recommend both. Some interfaces need you to manually enable class-compliant modes. For example, the Steinberg UR44 or Zoom UAC2 have a physical switch on the back. RME Babyface Pro requires a button combination to activate it, and some interfaces won't work in class-compliant mode unless they're powered externally. Anyway, if your audio interface has power port, I highly recommend using it. That way, your iPhone's or iPad battery won't drain too quickly. So, check the user guide regarding class-compliant mode. How to connect your audio interface to your iPad or iPhone. It depends on the port you have. For USB-C devices, like newer iPads or iPhones, it's straightforward. Just plug in the USB cable from your interface and you're good to go. If your interface uses a USB-A cable, no worries, you can just grab a USB-C adapter or a hub. Actually, I'd recommend going with the hub for two reasons. You can connect additional devices like a MIDI keyboard or MIDI controller, and if the hub supports power delivery, you can charge your Apple device while using your interface. Super handy for longer sessions and absolute must-have for the stage. For Lightning devices like older iPads or iPhones, you'll need a USB to Lightning adapter. And here's important thing. Only use the official Apple adapter. I know it's pricey, but trust me, third-party adapters can cause all kinds of issues or just not work. Better yet, go for the Apple adapter with a built-in Lightning port. That way you can charge your device while using the audio interface. If you plan to connect extra devices, just plug a USB hub into the adapter and you're all set. If the interface draws too much power, the iPhone's battery might not be able to handle it and you'll see this message. In this case, you'll need to either power the interface externally or use a USB hub with a power delivery or special adapter if you're using Lightning port. It might sound too complicated in a video format, so I made an article with the names of all the adapters, hubs, links and pictures. The link for the article is in the description. How to know if your interface connected correctly? First of all, no extra setup, no extra adjustment is required in iOS system. It either works or it doesn't. But how do you check? Open the dock. If your interface is recognized, you'll see its icon there. Play some music on your iPhone or iPad. If it plays through the interface's outputs, like connected speakers or headphones, then the output is working. Open the Voice Memos app and try recording something through the interface. Make sure to plug in a mic or instrument and adjust the gain. Sometimes before using your interface with iPad or iPhone, you have to connect it to computer and make something. For example, I have this beautiful Arturia Minifuse 4, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 inputs and 4 outputs. But when I connect it for the first time to my iPad, there have been only 2 inputs and only 2 outputs, and it was listed as Minifuse Start. So it turned out that I needed to register and activate it with its serial number, and for that I had to connect it to a computer. So if you bought a brand new audio interface, you might need to activate it first. And if you bought a used one, you might need to download the official manufacturer's computer app and reset it to default settings. After all, we don't know how the previous owner customized it to their needs. All right, you've confirmed that your audio interface is connected and it's working for both input and output. Now it's time to set it up in Loopy Pro. Sorry, I forget one important detail. Your audio interface might have a mix knob or a switch, which could be labeled differently. For example, input and playback, input and DAW, hardware monitoring and software monitoring, or just direct monitoring. In the first case, you'll always hear the raw unprocessed sound directly through the audio interface. In the second case, the sound is processed in Loopy Pro. This is what we need. So we always need to choose the second option, software monitoring. In some interfaces, there's no physical switch, but this can be adjusted in the manufacturer's official software when you connect the interface to a computer. This is exactly the case with my Arturia interface. Okay, now let's launch Loopy Pro. I'll be using the default project as an example. First, I've plugged in my guitar and headphones so I can hear myself. I've also adjusted the volume and gain level. Open the mixer in Loopy Pro and make sure that your master channel is not muted and the volume is okay. You can double tap to set it to default. Then go to the input channel and make sure that input selection is your audio interface, because you can choose built-in microphone even when your interface is connected. All right, enable monitoring, and now you should hear your guitar in the headphones. Make sure that if you're plugged in the first channel, you have this first channel selected here. By the way, there are mono channels and stereo channels. Keep in mind, if you select input 1 plus 2 as stereo, you'll automatically get hard pan. Input number 1 will go to the left ear and input number 2 will go to the right ear, and it will be like... It's not good. I'd like to hear guitar in mono in both channels. By the way, if you're new to Loopy Pro, check out my course called Quick Start in Loopy Pro for guitar players. And if you want to learn more advanced techniques, I have a course called Jambook. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you. And what about latency? Go to the system settings, and here you'll find buffer duration. The lower the buffer duration, the less latency you'll have. But keep in mind, a lower buffer increases CPU load. Start with the lowest buffer, and if you noticed glitchy sounds, gradually increase the buffer size. But start with the lowest. Sample rate, I usually use auto, which works well for me, and if you accidentally enabled this, make sure that it's turned off unless you know you need it. I often say that Loopy Pro is not just a looper, it's also a host for plugins and an advanced mixer. For instance, you can connect your guitar to input 1 your vocal mic to input 2, and even stereo synth to input 3 and 4 if your interface got it. And you can apply different effects, different plugins to each input and record each of these inputs into separate loops simultaneously. You can download this template file for free, and I've prepared an extra video explaining what's happening here, what widgets I use, plugins, etc. This video also available on my Patreon page. Thank you for your support. We've been talking about inputs, but don't forget about the benefits of having 4 outputs, 2 stereo pairs. What does it give you? On stage, you can hear the full mix along with the metronome in your headphones, in your in-ear monitors, while sending the main mix without the metronome to the audience. It allows you to fully automate your performance in Loopy Pro. You scraped the entire song, and Loopy Pro will handle everything for you. Recording loops, switching effects, and so on. All you need to do is to play along with the click. For example, outputs 1 and 2 for headphones, and outputs 3 and 4 to send the main mix to the venue speakers. A small clarification specifically about the Arturia Mini Fuse 4. It has 4 outputs for connecting speakers, 1 stereo pair 1 and 2, and another stereo pair 3 and 4. These outputs are duplicated on the front as headphone ports, which are already stereo outputs, so probably it would make more sense to label them as 1 plus 2 and 3 plus 4. However, this is somewhat flexible, as you can set up custom routing through the app on your computer. It's also great that we have a dedicated knob for each headphone and this big knob for their speakers. Let me know in the comments what interface you're using with Loopy Pro, and ask any questions, like, subscribe. I'll put only links in the description for my courses and for my Patreon page if you'd like to support the channel and get some extras. And thank you for watching. Take care.